This is a follow-up video to my tutorial about how to make a bracelet with copper bare wire, and I've had a lot of requests to where I got the wire. The roll I have is a mega big roll that I bought at a hardware kind of wholesaler place many years ago, but I went around to Home Depot today and I found some samples of wires to give you guys an idea of what you're going to need. So this is the wire that I used. This one here, and this is 6 gauge, and they're all 7 strand wires. That's what you're looking for. It's electrical wire. So this is 6 gauge, which is like the thickness of the entire bunch, like that. And then the other one that they had on the roll, you buy it by the foot. So this one is actually 4 gauge, and it's way too hard. You'll see it's super hard, and for the bracelet I don't advise the 4 gauge. It was way too hard. This is the one they had at Home Depot, which is similar to what I had. It's just a more antique color, but this is the 6 gauge. So it comes, it's marked 6/7. That means it's 6 gauge and there's 7 strands. And then the other option is you can actually buy plastic coated copper wire, and this one also is 7 strand, but this is 10 gauge. So remember, the bigger the number, the thinner the wire. So this is the 10 gauge, and I made a sample bracelet to show you with the 10 gauge. So compare the 10 gauge with the 6 gauge. You see there's quite a bit of a difference. So the only problem with this one is you have to strip it. So what I'm going to do to strip it is, my husband actually had some strippers, but they didn't work too well. Like, it kind of mucked up the wire. So I'm going to use an X-Acto knife. Make sure it's super sharp. Be careful, kids, please do not do this at home. And what I basically do to strip it is I just put the X-Acto on an angle. I'm just going to slice it like this, but angle your X-Acto knife down, and be very careful not to scratch the wire. So you just want to kind of do it like that. Make sure your knife is super sharp. Be very careful, and so that just takes a layer off without scratching the wire. And then what you're going to do after that is you would pull it back. So you would just pull it back like this. You'd be able to pull the plastic off. And to make the bracelet, you're going to need a decent amount. What I'm going to do is I'll strip the amount that I need to show you. So we're going to just strip, like, say, about a foot of wire. It'll depend on the length that you want your bracelet, and then we're going to pull it back. And so if you don't have these box cutters, what you can do at that point is just kind of separate them a little bit, like I did in the previous tutorial. Just give it a little twist, and then you're going to cut them one by one. Now, don't use your best cutters for this. If you have just some older cutters, it's the best. So just try to cut them 1 or 2 at a time. This is the 10 gauge, so it is quite a bit thinner. If you do have cable cutters, this is how they work. We're going to just stick it in there, and all you do is just that. So the cable cutters are super awesome. But if you don't have them, that's fine. So now, to do the bracelet, say we have about a foot of wire, what I'm going to do is just take one of the wires. This is like what I did in the other day in the other video. So you pull one wire back and you just twist it around a few times. Now, Joan had a really good idea that rather than twist it all the way up, we're just going to separate them. Okay, we'll separate them right away like that. So they're just all separate, and what you can do is just go ahead and cut them individually, so just one at a time. So you make sure you get them cut like nice and in there, like right in there. Just clip them all one by one, so they're as low down as you can get them. Don't cut your wire that you're using to wind. So we just clip these. They're going to go flying. I'm going to be crawling around the floor after picking them up. So we're going to go like that. We're just going to cut them. And then Joan had a really good idea. So rather than, having to file them and wiggle around with those, you just continue your wind after that. Now for this one, what I did was I actually did a loop and a hook But you can also just make them just to close the ends. So you can just take this and then finally do like a little loop at the end and then just close it and then just kind of push that down there. So you don't actually need a loop at all. You can just close the end like that and then just turn it around to the size that you want. So say I want it like around that size, and I know the size. So then I'm going to just pull one of these wires back like I did before. We'll just pull it back, and as we did before, just wind it around 2 or 3 times, just like that. And then we can go ahead and clip these ends as we did before. This wire is quite a bit thinner than the one that I have. I actually like this one. It's a little more delicate, so if you want to do one of these bracelets, simple bracelets, I would advise getting this one, the 10 gauge. It's quite nice. So we're going to go in there and just keep cutting these little ends off. Just keep going with them one by one. Get them as even as you can so they're all sort of at the same level. Just get that right down. And then once you have those all cut, then you could just continue a couple more rounds with the end, and then we just hide those little ends. And then when you get to this end, just do a little simple loop. Kind of finishes in the middle there. Just close it up and then cut that. And then you can just push it in a little bit, finish the end like that, just so it's just so you hide those little sharp ends. And then this you can just mold like the shape of your wrist however you want it, more oval or more round. Then you could just stick it on your wrist like that. You have a very simple bangle copper bracelet. So thanks so much for watching, guys. This was just a really super quick video, just a little follow-up to the last one. I'll link up the other video below for how to make the copper bangle, and we'll see you the next time.